let's do this. Gareth, stop doing things.
I was checking my hair in my iPad. Sorry.
Oh.
Hey Sean, welcome to our new series, Modern Classics. So this is where we get awesome albums from post-2000 and shout about them in a constructive way, I think. So we got chatting and we were like, yo, let's do one together. And we were like, what's an awesome album that we all love and want to talk about? And we came to the decision of Demon Days by Gorillaz, which is just an awesome album. I worked out earlier that I was 11 when the album came out, which really hurts my mind.
Puts you back.
Yeah, like I swear.
This album has existed for almost half of our lives.
And it's still awesome now and relevant today. And even though it's so sort of unique sounding, so obviously Gorillaz.
Yeah. And even though like it came out 10 years ago, and even though 10 years isn't that long of a time, it could have just come out yesterday. Like it's still completely fresh sound.
Yeah,
it's great.
So what do you think of this album, dude? So did you go back and give it a good old listen?
I went back. Yeah, I went back, gave it 2 listens. Of course, got my CD copy there. Gave that a listen yesterday, and I mean, yeah, obviously I'm on this show. It's Modern Classics, so obviously I love the record. That's kind of out of the question.
Yeah.
But I mean, one of the things that I just wanted to mention, obviously, if people can see the Plastic Beach poster in the background, which is obviously Gorillaz' 3rd full-length studio album, I actually don't think the Demon Days is their best record, and yet I'm still on this show, which I guess just shows how much I love them. So, yeah, I fucking love this record. It's great.
Okay, that's interesting because I love Plastic Beach a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think Gareth loves it quite as much as me.
I love it.
I don't think you rate it as
I
highly.
might not love it as much as you.
Yeah.
Okay, ditch this episode. We're doing Plastic Beach.
No. Would you put Plastic Beach higher than Demon Days, Sean?
Yes, definitely. I think Plastic Beach is, well, I mean, giant poster behind me. I'm going to go out and say my favorite album of all time, personally.
Wow.
So, yeah, I would put it above, but not that far above, because I think Demon Days is almost just as fantastic and almost just as kind of just so eccentric and so Gorillaz, I guess. And I think it's fantastic.
Like, for me, I love both of them. I don't know. At different days, I feel like one of them's better than the other. I feel they're both better than Gorillaz' self-titled album, though.
Yeah, definitely. I know a lot of people love that. It's not one that clicks with me anywhere near as much. But, I mean, still, they've always put out consistently good material, but consistently varied material, too. They've always changed their sound and always changed their styles, always had a lot of guests as well in their music, but mostly made it work. They're always very versatile, and with Damon Albarn also being part of so many other projects, there's so many influences, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. I just love the concept of the band in general.
Because for me, Demon Days is probably my favourite album of all time.
Yeah.
And it would be my favourite of theirs. And it is, I think, the pinnacle of their whole idea where it was against like the whole celebrity of music and how music industry was all about looks and all about personality, and totally like, let's make a band that has no looks and no personality and it's just the music, to the point where people don't get credited feature-wise on the track names for their part.
That was one thing you didn't quite like about Plastic Beach.
That was one thing I didn't like about Plastic Beach, is that they took that away and they put all of the names on there. And I liked the fact that I heard MF Doom for the first time on this record, who's now my favourite rapper of all time. Yeah. And you just sit there and you're like, who is this guy? He's amazing. And then you have to look up and YouTube for these things, and then you find out and you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And it's like that next step to discovering it, rather than just being like, oh, it's that person.
Also, I'm not sure, like, whether they were. I'm pretty sure they're not the first virtual band or band which doesn't have this actual persona.
Not. They were the biggest.
But yeah, they definitely were the biggest, most internationally well-known virtual band.
Like, just listening back to this, remembering some of the level that Feel Good Inc. and Dare are at in popular culture as just songs is incredible. They're the sort of songs that everyone knows. Like, you could say like, it's Dare, or do the and most people will know what those are from. Like, most people will get that reference. Like, let's just do noises. And people go,
for me,
oh yeah,
it brought, like, it might have been like some of my first experience of hip hop. Not that I would know. I was just going, oh, he's speaking, he's singing in a different way to usual. Like, I don't know about you. You probably listen to hip hop before I was listening to hip hop.
Well, I mean, I'm obviously quite a bit younger than you guys, and so you guys were talking about how this album has existed for half of your lives. For me, it's existed for about 2/3 of my life. I was pretty goddamn young when this thing came out. But I actually, I was familiar with Feel Good Inc. with Dare back then, when I was, 5 or 6, and they were in the charts. And those songs have great memories for me still today. And when I kind of went back and discovered those songs again, because for some reason I hadn't listened to them in years, why would I do that? I don't know. I ended up trying to finally kind of go to the full album and just ended up loving it. And I don't know if it was the first time I'd heard hip hop, but in a full length album form, I guess it probably was, most likely. So I guess it was just a really awesome growing experience for me as a record.
Yeah, and not only that, it's not only hip hop that it kind of introduces to a lot of people. It gets across so many different styles, and I feel as though it's kind of a stepping stone to each of these genres.
Yeah,
it works so well, like Britpop, alternative rock, hip hop, trip hop,
electronica, soft guitar stuff, choirs. They have 3 appearances of 2 different choirs on this album.
It's like you can just see that Damon Albarn is someone who just appreciates sound in general.
And there's even a song on here,
together.
which we have to bring up, Fire Coming Out of a Monkey's Head, which is a spoken word story.
Yeah, told by Dennis
Hopper, an actor. And it's just so out there, but it managed to be such great. And it even has, I've always thought of it as, because it's this sort of rhythmical repeating bass line with all this sort of choral stuff going on from Albarn. And then the story being told, and then every now and again there's like an intermission almost, like you're watching like Hateful Eight or whatever, like some big film or theatre production, and there's an intermission where there's just David Albarn has his guitar out, sings a little sort of song, and then you go back straight into the story.
Yeah, that's quite fun.
And it's such an interesting idea. Like it's
that song in general, it's
totally
kind of
like another thing.
It feels a little bit like War of the Worlds. I don't know if you've ever heard the War of the Worlds like spoken. What's it called?
Radio.
Like a radio production,
like a radio podcast thing.
Yeah, it's like
but also a big song.
Yeah, it's like 2 hours long or something like that. And
it's incredible,
amazing music with just a guy telling a story, like the story of War of Worlds over it.
And sometimes they have like actors come in to play their parts, but whenever they're playing their parts, they're actually singing.
Yeah.
Like it's such a great production. It does have that sort of vibe.
And talking about that acoustic guitar break, that happens throughout the album. It doesn't just happen on that song. It happens on Last Living Souls. It happens on Feel Good Inc.
Yeah, Feel Good Inc.
It's just this repeating kind of idea.
And he really melds this album together. He really well across this album does a lot of instances where he'll do that very sort of good mix of heavy and light. Like there'll be songs like Feel Good Inc., like so many more, where there's this big electronic, bass-heavy breakbeat thing going on, and then it will go to choral or soft guitar stuff, and they both work together so well.
Have you got a favourite song on the record, Sean?
Oh, well, I mean, I find it really hard to pick. I mean, I guess you've always got songs, I think, for me, like Dare, like Feel Good Inc., because of, the memories for me of those songs from my childhood. But apart from those two, I think I might have to say Every Planet We Reach Is Dead. One of the most kind of rock influenced tracks on the record. It's a really powerful, funky guitar riff. It's a fantastic track, really groovy, really danceable, but also really dark and menacing at the same time. I've always loved that since I first heard this record, and it's still one of my favorites.
That's a really good shout, man.
And it featured some wah guitar by Ike Turner.
Yeah.
Very nice feature. In fact, what were some of your favorite features?
For me, it's got to be De La Soul and MF Doom. But Roots Maneuver was also on this.
Who we talk about seemingly all of the time nowadays, because he just is popping up everywhere, and he was awesome on this record.
So good.
This is the first time I heard him, first time I heard MF Doom, who is another one of my favourite things. Probably the first time I heard De La Soul. I probably heard this before I heard De La Soul is Dead. So those ones have to be good. And some of the choir stuff, like the child's choir in Dirty Harry is always memorable.
Yeah, and the gospel choir on
on the last 2 tracks.
Demon Days, and on Fire Coming Out of Monkey's Head.
And Fire Coming Out of Monkey's Head, yeah.
And Don't Get Lost in Heaven.
I think
they're all like that.
I think Fire Coming Out of the Monkey's Head has to be in my list of favourites, just because it's so different and it has that War of the Worlds vibe, which I love. Feel Good Inc. has to be out there just because it's such a hit and it's so good in every aspect. Definitely. November Has Come I feel like it was just like the perfect collaboration between Alban and MF Doom.
I want to see another one.
It's so good on that track.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. And also El Mañana is one that I like a lot.
Yes.
It has
Also,
this
I'm
really
incredibly
atmospheric
surprised
dark
that you
feel.
got the pronunciation of that correct.
Yeah.
Because you can't pronounce normal words.
It's a word that I know. I can't do most English words, but I get a foreign word that I know, and it's an incredible song. It's like atmospheric, dark. I love it.
Actually, for me, like tracks 5 through 10, Dirty Harry, Feel Good Inc., Il Manion. Even I can't say it now. Okay, you fucked me right there.
El
Okay.
Manion.
Yeah.
That's a superhero whose special power is making people cry.
Yeah. Maybe this is what it is. Maybe I was born in the wrong place. Maybe I'm meant to be Spanish.
Yeah. Oh, that explains it.
I always speak Spanish better than I speak English, to be honest.
Yeah.
So.
And also, Every Planet We Reach is dead. November Has Come. All Alone.
November Has
I thought
Come.
they were all fantastic songs, just one after the other, just really making me love this record.
That's definitely the strong point of this album, I feel.
Also, Demon Days, man. Demon Days.
Demon Days
What
is an incredible
outro.
track. That's like the perfect outro. Like,
And it's
to an
crazy because it's really different. It's I feel as though Don't Get Lost in Heaven is kind of like, it's a little interlude just before they finish off the album.
I always felt like Don't Get Lost in Heaven was like the song that he would have made for Fire Come Out of Monkey's Head, because it has some, it references each other, they have some of the same themes. It's like the song of that. And Demon Days has this incredible mix that I love of the orchestra, perfectly recorded, really smooth, really nice strings, and then just distorted sounds added to that. And it really shows his like bringing of worlds together, this really soft sort of orchestral choral work, and then just distorted electronics and guitars like going in with it too, and it fits so perfectly.
What's your go-to track on Plastic Beach, dude?
Oh, Plastic Beach. It's going all over the place. I don't know, Plastic Beach, it depends, because there's so much kind of like relaxing and peaceful stuff on that record, as well as some stuff like, say, Sweepstakes, energetic and fun. So, I mean, favorite track is a hard one for me. I'm just trying to think of the track list now. I really love, to be honest, as kind of my go-to Plastic Beach song, the opening track, Welcome to Plastic Beach, or Welcome to the World of Plastic Beach, or whatever. Just because it makes me feel like, because of the lyrics and everything, it's just that opening track, and it's perfect for that album. Plus, Snoop Dogg's just so smooth on there. It's great.
It does feel like a welcome as well. It's like when you hear like Snoop Dogg coming on that, you're like, I really want to hear the rest of this album now. Looking forward to the rest of the album, you know?
I think on that album is another one. It just shows how they bring people together. Like, you got Lou Reed on there, you got Mos Def, you got Little Dragon and Bobby Womack, then you got like Kano just comes on. Yeah. I remember hearing that for the first time, and by then, you know, I'd been introduced to more music. I already knew Kano, and that came in. It's like, it's KA, and I'm like, oh my god, what the fuck was he here? It's the best. Everyone just comes through. Rhinestone Eyes, I think, would be my favorite on that track.
Even though we're not doing a review of that, I think
it's going to end up being a.
We might as well chat about some more stuff.
I'd say
it's going to end up being a joint.
Empire Ants.
Oh, dude, I think I'm with you on that. Empire Ants. Little Dragon, I think I'm in love with her. I've said this about like 3 different artists.
Didn't we both discover her from this album as well?
Yeah. And then I went on to go and hear
that's
the rest
the
of
beautiful thing about Gorillaz, the way it makes you just discover other artists. You just go, I need to listen to them more.
That could be the beauty of Gorillaz.
You know? Yeah, I think that's what it is.
So I just said it was.
Yeah, but I then consolidated that into a sentence.
I don't need your consolidation.
And it's something that the virtual band like brings together. There isn't this actual band behind it. Well, there is actually.
Well, there's the 4 members: 2D on vocals and keyboard, Murdoch on bass, Noodle on guitar, keyboards, and backing vocals, and Russell Hobbs on drums.
But that is one of the weird, amazing things where the idea was to have like no celebrity and anything else that you can go to other than the music. But then they managed to almost, in a way, make the artist celebrity. Like if I talk about a Gorillaz song and I say like 2D doing this vocal work, people will get what I mean, you know. And people like, especially in Gorillaz, actually, they reference Russell a lot as the idea, like the whole like metaphor of him being rhythm and all this sort of stuff. And it's like they actually managed to bring so much character to just these cartoons they made around it. Like, and you look legitly at the band. For all the albums, there are 2 main members. One of them does nothing musical at all. He's counted as a member of the main band, but all he does is the art.
He does the art
and the videos,
cartoons,
and then the other member of the band does all of the music.
I feel like we're talking way too much, Sean. You should say something.
All right, I'll say something then. I mean, on the subject of kind of them being more than just this band and not having the celebrity status, it's because they're not really a band. They're a big multimedia project, and that's why kind of Jamie Hewlett is considered a full member as well, because there's so much gone into Gorillaz in terms of not just the music, but the videos and all of the kind of different characters that have their own distinct personalities and voices within the whole storyline. We've got, you know, interactive websites, we've got things like that. And it all comes together to make this big, weird, strange, eclectic world. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever kind of visited things like the Gorillaz website and even just like played the kind of stupid storyline games and stuff. But it's all just really expansive and it's a really interesting world. And I think that's what Gorillaz is. It's more than just the music. It's all of these other artists featuring on the album. It's all of the different kind of aspects of their whole project, I guess. And it's fantastic what they managed to pull together, I guess, on this record and on pretty much all of their records as well.
It's a really incredible achievement.
Especially talking about Plastic Beach as well. The music videos they had for that, which all had a story between them, between each of the songs.
The concept of Plastic Beach.
Even with like most of the things like Melancholy Beach and all those Cloud of Unknowing having the entirely animated videos, and then just having Bruce Willis in stylo, but it still looks hooked in. Like it still was part of the story. Is incredible. And
I mean, when the music videos link,
it's
so cool.
It's brilliant. It's so well thought together.
Did you catch Donkomatic?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's not one of my favorite tracks. I can see why it's not on Plastic Beach, but I own a copy on CD because I did buy the singles collection just for that song. I like it enough to buy that. So yeah, it's pretty much everything they put out is interesting to me. I love it. I think
it's fun how with every album they've released the sort of B-sides out,
or the D-sides,
or the G-sides, and they've always had this second.
You missed out a couple of letters in there.
No, D&G are the ones there are. They released D&G, and then The Fall for some reason.
That'd be fucking crazy.
Yeah,
idiot.
That's the thing about Plastic Beach. They didn't have one, you know.
Yeah.
They never had kind of a full B-sides album. The Fall was kind of a different project, and you can find Plastic Beach B-sides albums out there online. There's one called C-Sides, like the sea, and I love that name, and it's got all of the kind of bonus tracks.
You're like an idiot now. Right, and they're like, C-sides isn't a thing. C-sides we live by.
But that's I think it's their only song released that's not on an album or on one of those B-sides albums, and it's like it's clearly in this weird space where he liked it enough to release it as its own thing and give it a music video.
Yeah.
But it wasn't quite good enough to be on Plastic Beach, or it wasn't done in time or something.
Some of their B-sides sound like my favourite stuff.
Some of their B-sides are interesting, but then albums become really hit or miss.
Well, as albums, one of my favourite songs is Hong Kong, which is just like beautiful.
Hong Kong's incredible. I mean, I don't love G-sides too much, but as for D-sides, the B-side album to Demon Days, it's almost just as good as Demon Days for me. I loved kind of the more I guess kind of Chinesey vibe he was going for. Not to be racist, but just musically, it's more, you know, pentatonic scale, all that kind of shit. Sounds brilliant. Oriental, of course, yeah. And it's almost as good, and they've just done so much great stuff.
Okay, so
Singapore noodles.
Right, so we didn't do ratings on To Pimp a Butterfly, but that was because
we'd all said it was a 10, and we'd already said it was our favorite album.
Sean, kick off. What is your rating for Demon Days?
Oh, well, I mean, I've obviously praised it a lot. I love pretty much every song. But it isn't, you know, a 10 for me. There are little nitpicks here and there. So I'm feeling a very, 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 very strong 9 out of 10 for me.
Cool. Nice, I like that. But would you give Plastic Beach 10?
Oh, 10.
Well, you'd have to.
10 easily. Strong 10. Man.
What's he going to do? Give it a very, 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 very strong 9? Okay,
Gareth.
Yeah, straight 10. It's one of my favorite albums ever. To be honest, I feel like I would give. I think I could give all of their albums a 10 because I am. Even though Gorillaz is a bit more hit and miss, I do love that. Like some of the hits on it are just on point, and some of the little ones are just a bit more weird, but I love them. And Demon Days for me is just one of those albums which is like the definition of modern classics as we're doing this. Like
Nice.
that and Pimp Butterfly and a few others that we're going to do soon are like the ones where I'm like, undeniably.
Okay.
Yeah. For me, Gorillaz self-titled, it's an 8 on a good day, maybe 9. But for me, Plastic Beach and Demon Days are 10s. Personally. James! Personality.
I will be agreeing with Sean here.
Okay.
I'm going to be giving it a strong 9.
Okay.
I think you mean a very, 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 very strong man, actually. Come on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very, 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 very.
Easy.
I would give this a whole Yeezy out of Yeezy, to be fair. Like,
I'd give it a very, 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 very
Oh,
easy out of 9.
guys,
What?
Gorillaz releasing a new album, meant to be releasing on this year, right?
Mhm.
They're in the studio
Mhm.
making.
Yeah.
I want from Yeezy. Imagine a Yeezy.
Oh,
feature on
Yeezy
Gorillaz.
would be sweet.
That would be nuts.
Maybe. Or just like Kendrick, because like, why not?
Kendrick
Yeah.
would be nuts.
I mean, they've already got David Bowie on there, apparently, so yeah. I mean,
Oh, that's so cool.
He's on there, yeah. It's crazy.
It's already been recorded for it. Yeah. Oh,
That's fucking legendary.
I'm very excited for that album.
Yeah, so
Dude, we'll obviously make our own videos on the next Gorillaz album, but I think we should get together again and do like a little like look back at the Gorillaz album like that comes out in the future.
A whole discography review, maybe, even.
We'll have a
Yeah.
Gorillaz briefing after the next.
That'd be great.
Wicked. Awesome. Yeah, it was nice talking to you, Sean.
Yeah, dude.
And we'll end the episode here. Check out not only our Facebooks and Twitters, but his.
Yeah.
Would you like to plug your Facebooks and Twitters and that?
Facebooks and Twitters, of course, on Facebook, I'm Rewind Reviews. Of course, on Twitter, I'm Rewind Reviews. And of course, on YouTube, I'm Rewind Reviews. If you want to go find me there as well, because that's kind of the important one, where all the videos and shit are. So check those out if you'd like, because I do what these guys do, but a little bit worse, and it's okay.
Yeah. Links in the description.
all of these things will be in the description. Thank you for coming on, Sean.
Welcome, it was great. I'd love to do it again sometime.
Yeah.
I always love coming into your room.
Yeah.
Right?
This is my wonderful room.
Yeah, isn't it quaint? People who are used to it get to see us not in a studio and on a super high quality camera. It's different.
Bye, everybody on YouTube. By Gorillaz, which is just an awesome album. I worked out earlier that I was 11 when the album came out, which really hurts my mind.
Puts you back.
Yeah, like I swear.
This album has existed for almost half of our lives.
And it's
Over
still
half of our lives.
awesome now and relevant today. And even though it's so sort of unique sounding, so obviously Gorillaz.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
even though like it came out 10 years ago, and even though 10 years isn't that long of a time, it could have just come out yesterday. Like it's still completely fresh sound.
Yeah.
It's great.
So what do you think of this album, dude? So did you go back and give it a good old listen?
I went back, gave it 2 listens, of course. Got my CD copy there, gave that a listen yesterday. And I mean, yeah, obviously I'm on this show, it's modern classics, so obviously I love the record, that's kind of out of the question.
Yeah.
But, I mean, one of the things that I just wanted to mention, obviously, if people can see the Plastic Beach poster in the background, which is obviously Gorillaz' 3rd full-length studio album, I actually don't think the Demon Days is their best record, and yet I'm still on this show, which I guess just shows how much I love them. So, yeah, I fucking love this record. It's great.
Okay, that's interesting because I love Plastic Beach a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think Gareth loves it quite as much as me.
I love it.
I don't think you rate it as
I might
highly
not love it
as
as much as you.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
ditch
this is
this
getting
episode. We're doing Plastic Beach.
Constantly varied material too. They've always changed their sound and always changed their styles. Always had a lot of guests as well in their music, but mostly made it work. They're always very versatile. And with Damon Albarn also being part of so many other projects, there's so many influences, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. I just love the concept of the band in general.
Because for me, Demon Days is probably my favourite album of all time.
Yeah.
And it would be my favourite of theirs. And it is, I think, the pinnacle of their whole idea where it was against like the whole celebrity of music and how music industry was all about looks and all about personality, and totally like, let's make a band that has no looks and no personality and it's just the music, to the point where people don't get credited feature.
Let's do this. Gareth, stop doing things.
I was checking my hair in my iPad. Sorry.
Oh.
Hey Sean, welcome to our new series, Modern Classics. So this is where we get awesome albums from post-2000 and shout about them in a constructive way, I think. So we got chatting and we were like, yo, let's do one together. And we were like, what's an awesome album that we all love and want to talk about? And we came to the decision of Demon Days. Would you put Plastic Beach higher than Demon Days, Sean?
Yes, definitely. I think Plastic Beach is, well, I mean, giant poster behind me. I'm going to go out and say my favorite album of all time, personally.
Wow.
So, yeah, I would put it above, but not that far above, because I think Demon Days is almost just as fantastic and almost just as kind of just so eccentric and so Gorillaz, I guess, and I think it's fantastic.
Like, for me, I love both of them. I don't know, some different days I feel like one of them's better than the other. I feel they're both better than Gorillaz' self-titled album, though.
Yeah, definitely. I know a lot of people love that. It's not one that clicks with me anywhere near as much, but I mean, still, they've always put out consistently good material, but consistent